Yes, graduates, welcome to Hard Talk Podcast with HTK. Fasten your seatbelts. Hey, users and subscribers, welcome back to another episode of Hard Talk with HTK. So, as you can see, the Justice for Adriana movement has taken a dramatic turn. After yesterday's, confusion, lots of truths and lots of opinions have come out. Angie took to Fire's platform on Let's Talk Things and has decided that she will be releasing evidence on Carlotta's show, No More Flinching, tonight. After being accused of bankruptcy, which we have actively disproved on this platform, she was then accused of taking monies from the Younge family. Basically, her entire character, from childhood right up, was destroyed on the Melly Mel's show, where 4.2k people tuned in to listen to all sorts of things being said about her character, claiming that she's a liar. However, Melly Mel's only argument was based on her childhood experience. Now, whether or not this story is true, does that speak to the woman that Angie is today? In a dramatic turn of events, Angie reached out to HTK last night, where she put me on the phone with her actual husband, who was in a completely separate room in the household. After she had explained to me what took place, she went and she questioned her unassuming husband about the same issues around payments that were made on the night at a hotel. My graduates, Angie's husband explained that monies were used from his card to secure hotel rooms for Alana Trotz, Amicia and Sir Brian, that allotted to the total of about $500. That he was not initially prepared to pay for their hotel rooms and deposits, but they were going to do so themselves. However, that money they did not have available at the time on a card. Alana had refused to use her own personal card, so he had to use his, with the assignment that he would be fully refunded, that Alana would go to a machine or a bank, transfer the funds from the GoFundMe to repay the hotel room stay for the family. They had already organized their own hotel rooms separate and apart from Amicia, Sir Brian and the kids, and Alana Trotz. That money was refunded by Alana to the family after that $500 was used on his card. That refund was done. He also explained that under no circumstance did they take money from that family when it came to their stay, their upkeep, their food. Under no circumstance did they do that. That if the family chose to shop for themselves, they did. But that was separate and apart from what was provided. That the wedding was fully covered by them. That anything that they paid, probably for their own personal use, that was their choice. But the catering, the decor, was done by them. Well, this is what the husband says. This is also what Angie says. Graduates, I listened intently to both parties on the phone. Their stories aligned. There seemed no reason to lie. Angie walked me through her 7-bedroom house. Not that she needed to, because I had already seen enough to know that Angie lives comfortably. On the Fire show, Angie revealed that it is during her stay in her household things began to unravel between Sir Brian and Amicia, and truths started to come to light. that during their time it was volatile. She explained that there were other incidences of DV that took place in her property, of which she has evidence. She also explained that it was disclosed by Amicia in a heated discussion with Sir Brian that Adriana is not his biological child. That Sir Brian counteracted, saying that he raised that child. So what that that child is not biologically his? It was also disclosed that it was a plan made between Sir Brian, Amicia, and Carol to sacrifice Adriana for the purpose of wealth. It was not intended that things would have gone awry, that she would have died. It was not intended that it would have been the case that her body would have turned up in that pool, but that something would have been done to Adriana. I don't know what, people, but something would have been done that would have led to immense financial security for the family. That Amicia convinced Sir Brian. These are the things that were revealed on that show by Angie. So Angie's saying that Sir Brian was convinced by Amicia to actually go through with whatever it is that they were doing as a ritual, and that everything turned out horribly. She asked some crucial questions about why it is that when they were looking for Adriana, neither parent wanted to go anywhere and knew instinctively and definitively that Adriana's body was inside of that hotel, that that child was in the hotel and nowhere else. That monies were exchanged to the family, that Mr. Mohammed paid Amicia and Amika around $10,000, that there were communications with Sir Brian's sisters who claim that they have evidence of the meeting with Amika and Mohammed exchanging monies. Now, all of these are alleged discussions. It is an interesting but devastating turn in the development of the Adriana Younge case. Evidence intends to be dropped on Carlotta's show tonight, which I'm sure you will all be tuning into to see, because this is what we have been waiting on. The focus on the case, the development of the crucial information that's missing, the puzzle pieces that needs to be reintegrated for the full picture to be achieved. Are these family members hiding something? You've often heard me say that the one person where I have sympathy and empathy is Sir Brian. Ever wondered why I said that? There's a lot more to be revealed in this case. And whether you like Angie's manner or not, ever thought that God may be using a person who is an oversharer, a loud person, because he wants it shouted for the world to hear? Ever thought that God sent a disruptor to make sure that you realize that all is not what it seems? God uses all of us in different ways. Some of us are the mouthpiece, but some of us are the justice deliverers. It would be interesting to see if nothing comes out of their return to Guyana. Remember, according to Amika, a ticket was purchased for them to return, I believe, this week. Are they in Guyana now? What has happened to that return? If it's not this week, then it ought to be next week, correct? It was also revealed on Fire Show last night by Angie that they were seeking asylum and that they had in fact begged to stay with Angie and her husband in their house because they were fearing for their lives. They were not comfortable in their property, that their camera had picked up on somebody trying to come into their home to harm them. Once again, Angie says evidence will drop tonight. There are many things I could tell you, graduates, but I keep telling you it's not my position to tell you. All of these things need to come from the sources, and you will see why it is that I have never ever disrespected Angie. The only thing I said was, I think you should never have released those videos. But notice I said the audio needed to go out. The audio needed to go out, and that was about protecting the kids, not the adults involved, and also recognizing that their mindset is all over the place, that their behavior is going to be crazy in front of those kids. But the audio releases significant information that a lot of you are willing to pretend you did not hear. Why are they constantly arguing and fighting over money? There is one thing that I would encourage Angie to do. I would want Angie to pull that recording up to before they started fighting. I would like to see the full context of that argument. How did it develop? Because all we saw were the crucial times when the fight happened and what was said. But who said what before? How did it kick off was very important. And that's a crucial piece of the puzzle that also needs to be fit into place. I would also like to ask Angie, after hearing these things, regardless of whether or not people had come out to tell lies on you, would these evidences have been released anyway? I think that precedent needs to be set, because currently the reason for the split or the divide in the Guyanese opinion is simple. Many think that it is a tit for tat, and that you are doing this out of vengeance and spite, and not necessarily just for justice. Please clarify for the public, what did you intend? Even after they left, had nothing come out about the breakdown in that household? Would you have sat on this information, or would you have come out and revealed it anyway? How would you have managed those videos and the text messages and the information you were told behind the scenes if we did not have this expose of what took place in your home? Was there an ongoing channel of communication between yourself and the defense lawyer, Dr. Todd? Were you passing information on behind closed doors that even after they had gone would have shed light on what took place with Adriana? Now, many of you have come and you've commented on the bankruptcy case, claiming that, oh, it doesn't make sense to you. I don't care that it doesn't make sense to you. You don't have to understand legal jargon, but the evidence is right in your face, and it's right in the face of Amika, it's right in the face of Alana, it's right in the face of anyone who came out and said that that woman was bankrupt, and I dare them to challenge it. They won't, because they know they lied. Regardless of whether or not Angie was in money problem, blah, 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 that's irrelevant. She's on the other side. And even the courts of law at the highest level have dismissed it and made it clear that it was dismissed with prejudice, which means they can never re-enter the court to bring those charges against her again, because the evidence shows clearly this woman had nothing to do with the fraud and nothing to do with the bankruptcy. So ask yourself this instead of making noise. I showed you the case number. Go and read it. Those of you who are in America, go and read it. When people talk without evidence, they are just gaffing. That's why I said Melly Mel entered the chat. CHRAT. That's slang, internet slang for gossip. Now, as much as I rate Melly Mel as a political blogger, that yesterday was baga baga. There was no evidence provided. Nothing to prove what she said. All that came across was what she heard, repeated clearly by Amicia, Amika, etc. Those on their side who are willing to cover up the facts. More and more will come out. And as I've always said, I don't care what side it comes from. The truth must come out because Adriana's spirit will not rest until everything and everyone is revealed. Remember now, the aunt claimed that she didn't trust the woman. From long time, her spirit never takes she. Yet she was all up in the woman's house. Remember, don't you think there is evidence to show that she was borrowing the woman's clothes? That she was wearing her shoes? This is a woman whose house is cameraed up to the nines. I bet you they won't deny it. How can you take from people you don't trust? What is that mindset telling you as the audience? I don't trust you, but I gotta take your things. That's not licky. That's not greed. That's not covetous. Yes, Angie overshares. And we have advised her, please stop widening your circle of communication. Shut down talking to certain types of people on social media who do not mean you well. If you are using particular platforms to get your information out, it should be restricted to those 3 platforms. 3 platforms that you know will present information unbiased, will interrogate the information that you present to make sure that it has integrity and will stand on truth and justice. Stop with the off-air communication, the chatty to fatter to this person, to that person, to this. Stop. Because this is how things get twisted and you are presented as a mess. As Ghanaians say, a crass. A lot of these people are not clued up enough to fully assimilate the information that you disseminate to them. Stop trying to convince the noise. Simply speak your truth. Present the facts. And those who are intelligent and rational will accept it. It's not important to convince the people who already don't like you because you're loud or because you're too much or because you're controlling or because you're north. You don't need to convince them. They've made their minds up about you. People out there are going to hate you for no reason, much less. What is important is the truth for what happened. The truth about what happened where Adriana Younge is concerned. That is what matters. You don't need to tell us about whether or not you are a woman of integrity. You never used to screw around when you were a child. Nobody cares. That's your front. You can do what you want to do with it. What we care about is what happened to Adriana Younge. So I was pleased with the focus on the case. I don't want to hear anything else. The world doesn't need to hear anything else. And I don't care who is responsible, they have to go down. If it turns out That double-day hotel owner was a part of it, he need to go down. If it turned out that the grandmother was a part of it, she need to go down. If the mother and the father was a part of it, they need to go down. I tell you, even the baby on the breast, anybody a part of this need to go down. So we don't care about all the bagga and the nonsense and the noise. Refocus. Justice for Adriana. This is your girl, Head Teacher K, and I'm out.